A very good morning, good evening, or good night, depending on where you are in the world today, and welcome. As usual, we have a very interesting guest today. One Roxanne, now I might probably pronounce that wrong, Vaudreuil. Um, and I know that she is online, so I'm just going to send her the invite now. Dear. Ah, sorry, my phone is doing very silly things right now. Please do bear with me. Oh dear. Um, there we are. Now, Roxanne is a intuitive healer, and she's already online. Fantastic. Oh,
Good
good
morning
morning.
for
How are you
me.
today? Yes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good indeed. Thank you for asking. A little bit tired, but otherwise good.
Good. Good. Glad to hear.
So, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us today. I really do appreciate it. And I'm
Oh,
incredibly excited to hear about, well, a couple of things. There's one thing in particular that when I saw your email come through, I kind of read and I went, oh, I cannot wait to ask questions about this, but we'll get there in a second.
okay.
Before we do, Roxanne, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you and what got you onto your path? I know it is quite an interesting story. So, what brought you to a point where you wanted to work as an intuitive healer?
Well, I guess you could say that like so many of us, right? I had no idea. I was intuitive. I had no idea. I was an empath. As a child, like I remember so many different things that I did to my mom that freaked her out. In fact, at one point, she called me her demon child, right? She was like, oh my God. Because she had read all those horror books and she saw the movies like The Exorcist and stuff like that. So she
Oh,
thought my head was going
goodness.
to spin around and I was going to start doing backflips and stuff. So it freaked her
Sounds
out.
familiar. Sounds familiar.
So, but knowing that it freaked her out, I stopped doing it and I just shut it off. But it wasn't never shut off completely, right? And honestly, I thought everybody else was like me. I thought they could feel the same way I felt. I thought that they could see the same things I saw. To me, this was my way of normal, and
Yes.
it was confusing. Yeah. So yes, I have a history of childhood sexual abuse. I was abused
Oh,
for
I'm sorry.
over 9 years and saw some of it before it happened. And
Mm,
and every time I saw it, of course, I would say something to my mom, and she thought at first that I was trying to get her attention away from her enjoying life. She thought I was always making it up until it happened. So it was confusing. Now she comes from like childhood depression, and she was abused as a child herself. So the impact that it did for her was it made her relive her abuse, right? So it
right.
was, so all of that, it made it really difficult for her. Um, and I didn't fully understand how depressed she was. So for me, carrying all of this throughout my childhood, my youth, my early adulthood, there was so much going on that I was trying to make sense of. And went and saw counselors, and I actually did see a psych. I believe he was it's either a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but anyways, he was really interesting and super fun, and I learned a lot from him. And but what really opened me up to my intuitive side again was well, she's one of my best friends. She's a very close friend. And oddly
Right.
enough, she's got red hair, she's Celtic, she's from Ireland. So she was watching me because we used to do theater. And she was watching me one day and she goes, describe that person to me. So I went, la 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 la. She goes, okay, now how about that person? And I went, okay, la 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 la. She goes, you can do what I can do. And I went, no, I can't. She goes, you just did. You just did. So that's what.
Sounds about right.
I just pulled out my mic. So that's what made me open up to it again, and she helped me really embrace it and understand it and explore it. So she was my first teacher, and we're still like super friends. So that's awesome. And then I had other teachers come along the way. So that's how I got into exploring my intuitive side and into really wanting to heal and understand what was going on.
Okay, so that's how you kind of got onto your path. And it's amazing how many out there have kind of had some form of really traumatic experience that was either going to make or break us, and then led to something else instead, where we were able to go, no, actually, I can use this to shine a light out into the world instead, which is just so heartwarming, I think, especially for those times. And I use this as a reminder for myself when it kind of feels like, nothing you do actually is going to make a difference. And then you realize, no, actually, we're not alone. There's more of us than we think out there, just kind of being there, holding space for humanity. But anyway, I digress.
No, that's okay. It's perfect.
So, Roxanne, I'm very interested to hear your specific methodologies, because I had a look at your website. I had a look at the information that you sent through as well, and I was terribly impressed because some of it is very similar to what I do and what a lot of other people do, but I also see that you've had a lot of formal training in various different methodologies.
So especially this year, and I can honestly say this is what the pandemic has done for me. It's really helped me to step back and switch gears, because the universe supports us when we're ready, right? But for me, it was also a freak out moment because everything was breaking away. And I thought, oh my gosh. And our first impulse, because it's a fear of loss, is you want to hang on to it, right? Hang on to it for dear life. Like, don't let it go. And that's what was happening to me. Like, I became unemployed last December. So that was before the pandemic. And that really made me go, okay, well, I have these skills. So with the formal training that I've had, like, I'm a level 2 higher priestess practitioner, and that is with the Goddess Healing Matrix system. And my mentor is actually from Okotoks here in Alberta, Canada. So she's just an amazing lady. I just love her to death. Her main 2 things that she really does is she teaches unconditional love. And she's also there to help support women really become into who they are. And so through me taking her guidance and her training, it's just amazing, because I only really met her 2 years ago. So that's what's really compelled and pushed me forward. The other thing that I've done too is, and her name is Velva Dawn Silver, by the way. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. But the other program that I took that really launched me forward was the one that Deborah King offered through Mindvalley, which is Be a Modern Master. And that she actually has really fine-tuned it and tweaked it, where she can seed you through with the sutras from the Atharva Veda through video. Yeah, so it's really interesting. So instead of a 2-year, because that's what she did, was she went to India and she studied this for 2 years, and it was almost like monk-like. You can't speak, you can't do anything. So when you're going through her course, she says, I know it's impossible for you not to speak, but only speak mindfully. Do not speak unless you absolutely have to. That was so difficult. And my other takeaway from that course, really, because she gives you so much information on the history of not only the Athar Veda, but how it's formed, who's behind it, like Melchizedek and Archangel Michael, and all of this support, right? But my main takeaway from that was, why are we allowed to speak ill of others? Because when we speak ill of another person, we're actually taking their power away. That was more powerful. Right? So that was my main takeaway and my huge understanding of what my language was. And that's what really got me on to language.
Right. And that is something that is so important, because I think all the esoteric schools, well, okay, not so much anymore, because we live in a world where it is quite possible to not speak for extended periods of time. But ancient schools, I know that the Druids weren't allowed to speak for, I think, 5 years or something like that. It really impressed on them the power that language has. And I know in the esoteric tradition that I'm studying and following, every month you have a restriction that you choose for yourself, but it's 30 days of a topic that you are not allowed to speak about, so that you start to become mindful of what other people. But in so doing, you then start to notice, like you say, the impact that language really does have. And it's so why we call it spelling, you know, or when someone, it's cursing, you know, it really does have power, and we don't realize how much we're not just affecting people around us, but also ourselves. So that's, I think, so important for people to start to recognize. But I'm away from what you're saying. Please continue.
No worries, no worries. So with that, like I said, especially this year, this is what really led me onto this path. After all of that training, all of a sudden I just felt compelled. Like I needed to feed myself with information that I have always been drawn to, with Ayurveda. And what really got me on to mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, because I became a practitioner with that. So that's the formal training. So what really got me onto that was, I have always believed that science is the study of nature and nature supports science, right? And I thought, wow, wouldn't this be amazing? So after I took that, and then after I studied the moon phases and really got a little bit more in depth with that, I thought, wouldn't this be amazing, taking two things that are part of our DNA, are part of our makeup, because we form our beliefs from our influences, from our parents, from our grandparents, from our teachers, from our friends, from the media. We form that way, from our pain, from our pleasure, right? It all comes from that. But the moon phases is something that our ancestors really did way, way, way back when. It's our first calendar, so it's actually programmed in us. So I thought, and the other thing that a lot of people are too, is technology is amazing, because look, we're able to do this. You're in South Africa and I'm here in Canada. But we've lost our circadian rhythm, and the moon helps keep us within that. And every month it invites us, because we're 85% water, it invites us to release what's no longer needed, right? So it brings up our water. up, and we always feel it in our throats, right? And then we feel it in our hearts, and we feel it in our minds, and we feel it in our guts. And it's like, why is this bothering me? Why are you irritating me? Why am I so irritated today? Right? And for so many of us, we try and push that down. We try and get rid of it. It's like, oh my gosh, it's just the full moon. This will go away. But it's inviting us to release what we no longer need. So I thought, well, here's science and here's nature. They're both part of our programming. Wouldn't this be neat just to intertwine these two and create something there that we just haven't utilized before? And I think it's a natural way to invite us back to our spirituality. It doesn't get you too deep, but it opens the door to an understanding of who you are as an individual, understanding why you're drawn to the moon, understanding why your beliefs are this way. And then from there, with that door opening, maybe you want to explore more in a different modality or in a different field, but it opens that door into who you are because it invites you back into you and into your passion. And that's why I created it. Yeah.
That is just so beautiful. Now,
thank you.
Roxanne, please forgive me if I'm incorrect or if I'm overstepping any boundaries or anything like that. This has never happened before. But I get the sense that there's something that you should be telling us today that was not included in your email.
I am a channeler,
You were talking.
so yes, I do. I really do channel things, and I've actually started having a book by me now in my meditations because things come in, and of course it's like, oh, I need to hang on to that, and then it just goes. But the thing that, yes, really allow yourself not only to step into your heart space, but understand what your higher heart means. Your higher heart is actually your connection to not only your spirit guides, but to your angels, to everyone else. It's to your past, it's to your ancestors, it's to your understanding, and more importantly, it's to your moon guide. We don't know, like, how many of us actually understand we actually have a moon guide, right? But we do. And that, when you step into your higher heart, you step into all of that, and you can really feel the expansion. With understanding that, it has really opened up my heart. It has really opened me up to accepting more information from my guides and understanding what the moon is supposed to teach me. Because I did that whole life path number thing, and I never understood what it meant by lunar apprentice. And now I understand. It's like, oh, okay, here we go.
That makes sense for you now. I need to make, because as you were saying, higher heart space, you can't see it through the camera, but my hairs literally stood on end. So that was clearly something that I need to take note of. So thank you for that.
Yeah. You're very welcome.
Cool.
You're very welcome. Yeah, you can feel that, right? You can just, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I'm still just kind of swept up in this, but I know we have a few other things that we need to talk about. And right. The one other thing that I really did want to touch on here is the one of the things that you do in the work that you do with your clients, which I think is so important, especially at the tail end of this pandemic and the changes that are still being wrought worldwide, is this sense of people still kind of needing external validation, but knowing that it's not enough.
Yeah, it's
And
not.
It's not. And I see it so often with a lot of my, not just my clients, my friends, myself even, with social
Mm-hmm.
media, everything is sort of done for the clout, as it's called. How
Mm-hmm.
many followers do you have? How many likes do you have? But that external validation is just not enough. People know that, especially after 2020, where there was no hiding from yourself anymore. So
No.
with that in mind, how have you found that in terms of when you're working with your clients, and how do you help them to get to a place of self-acceptance? I won't even use the term self-love,
Yeah.
just self-acceptance.
It is really self-acceptance. It's a little bit deeper than, I think it's a little bit broader than self-love. I'm not going to say it's deeper because self-love really is deep, but
Yes.
it's something that I used to do, right? I would actually look at a post and go, how far is that reach? Oh my gosh, who really accepted this? What really has helped me step back from that is mindfulness and being aware that how I approach it, right?
Mm,
Am I being authentic? Am I being within what my personal beliefs are? So it's really understanding what my personal beliefs are, um, and how I show up for me every day, and how I am being within those beliefs, like really understanding what unconditional love is for me and how I'm sending that out.
nice.
The other thing that really keeps me within that, how am I allowing other people to approach me? And now how am I responding to them, right? I know for me how I look, because we all have those things about our bodies no matter what, right? And don't pay attention to the tabloids. But then what part of that is understanding and really being mindful with what's going on inside. So that comes
Mm-hmm.
down to the endocrine system, which comes down to your age, which also comes down to the lymphatic system. So how am I allowing water to move my body? So this is a very Ayurvedic approach, but I really started to hone in on that. That brought me back into my body to understand how I'm feeding it, how I'm fueling it, not just with thoughts, but how I'm really accepting it overall. And then the other thing too is, now what am I doing about that? Does it matter if I go to the gym, or can I use a YouTube? Does it really matter if somebody's matter? It really matters who's watching you. But now how
Mm,
are you treating yourself, right? So, and that again just comes back to the language, because our thoughts, right? So it's that energy within the thoughts that we put out, because that's what we're going to get back. So I catch myself. And I catch myself too when somebody approaches me in a way that I feel isn't, um, say, in a nice, harmonious way. Because then it's like, grr, right? And I have to watch that. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This has got nothing to do with you. It's all about them. You know this. Be pleasant.
right.
Right? So, yeah. So, really, the whole thing about self-acceptance is really understanding your beliefs, your
Mm-hmm.
your values, and what your actual qualities are, because we are all unique. We're so unique, and we need to embrace our uniqueness, which is a
Mm.
combination of our actions, our beliefs, and our how we love ourselves.
Oh, I could not agree with you more. Could not agree with you more. But okay, you are also a speaker on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference, which we thank you for very much.
Oh, thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
but yeah, that for sure. I mean, we love all our speakers, and it's so amazing. Like I was saying at the beginning, to know that there's so many people out there who are doing their level best to shine a little bit of light out into the world. Just a beacon and
Mhm.
what is feel like just really heavy darkness at the best of times. But we're out there, and we're doing what we need to and what we can, and we're helping people to cope in the best ways that we can. So that is, I think, really important, really beautiful. So for those listening and watching the replay, as always, if you click the link in my bio, you'll be able to go through to the Wellness Lifestyle Conference and see Roxanne as well as the other many beautiful speakers that we have assembled over the course of this year, and have a look at their wonderful and inspiring talks. But aside from that, Roxanne, how else can people get in touch with you should they wish to learn a little bit more and book a session, etc.?
Well, you can reach me on my website, through my website at www.crossingbridgesnow.com. You can also email me at crossingbridgesyyc@gmail.com. You can reach me through LinkedIn, again through Crossing Bridges, or app, and there's and of course through Instagram. So there's a few different ways you can reach me.
Fantastic. So I will make sure to put all of that in the comment section of this video as well, on all the platforms. And the video will be shared over the next couple of days on LinkedIn, on Facebook, as well as on our YouTube channel as well. So if you guys are of course, that information will be in the comment section too. Roxanne, thank you so much for your time today. I don't want to keep you too long. And I just want to say a huge thank you for sharing your energy with us. I will be very open and honest and say that I was very moved emotionally. It was quite strange for me because I don't usually become emotional.
Really?
And you were just talking about certain topics. I just got this welling up of gratitude and wanting to have a little bit of a cry, which was quite odd for me, but also quite beautiful at the same time. So thank you for bringing that energy in. Really appreciate it. And
You're welcome, Stefan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful Tuesday further, and that it's just a wonderful day for you.
Thank you. You as well. And I've got to say I have huge gratitude for you and Priscilla, for reaching out to me and asking me to be a speaker. I was like, oh my, yes, this will be amazing. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
It's only but a pleasure. Thank you. Have a great day, and hopefully the week as well is also a good one, and blessings to you and yours.
Blessings to you and yours as well. You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.